As you probably know by now, I don't make a lot of videos anymore. Number one, it's kind of hard on the road. I actually found an app where I can do an overlay on my phone. That's great. But the problem is, I've been trying to make this video for the past couple of days. And every time I start recording, phone rings. Somebody calls me without fail. Happened yesterday, happened today. Number two, as you can tell, I'm getting kind of scruffy. I'm letting my hair grow. 7.5 years after retiring from the military, finally decided, yeah, screw it. I'm just gonna let everything grow. And right now, I'm happy with it. It's just that it's looking kind of rough. I mean, my beard's getting long. I like it. I'm letting my hair grow, but I got a long way to go to get to where I want it. And the beard's getting to the point where I'm thinking I'm gonna start trimming it up to where I want it. I want to grow it long right here and short on the sides. Same way with my hair, but my hair has got a long way to go. And right now it's kind of unruly. Far cry from where it was when I first started, where I combing it straight back and it was like poof. It's at least starting to get trained. But anyway, that being said, this is a video I really want to do because I ran across this yesterday. I don't know about all, you guys, I really don't watch TV. I don't watch TV. And I don't watch Fox News. I know who Tucker Carlson is. I like to watch his show because I like to hear his opinion. It's different. It doesn't mean I agree with everything he says, but fuck it. Nobody's going to agree with 100%. I mean, if you're agreeing with 100% with what people say, you need to check yourself. Because you're not doing your own thinking. I mean, we're different. People are different. We're unique unto ourselves. We like to think we are. But the problem is societal pressures can be pretty intense. And they can have an effect on people, whether we choose to believe it or not. They have a greater effect on us than what we would like to believe. Same with social media. This medium that I'm using right now to communicate with you, man, we could use it for so many constructive things, but it seems like in this day and age, we use it for destructive things. And it's almost like we're celebrating the destruction of our society and our way of life. Western civilization is one of the oldest surviving civilizations in the world, history of the world. The United States is very young in that regard. We were born out of Western civilization, Western culture, and we adopted much of that culture. But we did so in a manner that was uniquely American. There are those things that is uniquely American. And even then, depending on what region of the country you come from, culture's different. People talk different. Cuisine's different. We have different customs, different courtesies, just like the rest of the world. The United States is a great melting pot. It used to be. The fact is, we're not a melting pot anymore. And our civilization is like, it's like everything is upside down and backwards. And I put that in it. Anybody has seen my videos in the past, and you've seen me talk about intergender relationships and the effects of feminism has had on our culture, then you know where I'm coming from. And that's the foundation where all our problems are stemming from. because we are in a very femme-centric, gynocentric, whatever you want to call it, society, where women's priorities and imperatives, or what is considered true and right, and everything masculine is being just put asunder, undermined. And in so doing, we're undermining our own culture and civilization to the point that it's just out of hand. And nowhere based in or rooted in science, empirical things. Everything is how we feel about something. And you've heard me rail against that. You've heard me, talk about how we no longer think with our minds, we think with our hearts. We're being led by our hearts as opposed to our minds. Everything is ideological now. Everything is political now. That comes from emotion, how we feel about something, as opposed to philosophy, how we think about something. Both have their place, but one can't be placed above the other. There's got to be harmony there. There's got to be balance. And life is a balancing act. And now we've got younger generations that think that everything needs to be handed to them. I'll be the first one to tell you, life is hard and life sucks. Life is going to hand you a bag full of shit. It's what you do with it is going to make the difference in the world. In your world, your life. I can tell that to young people until I'm blue in the face. But it's not going to matter because all that's being undermined. Because everything is all about how we feel about something. And if I feel that life is unfair, then that's the only thing that matters. And by God, somebody needs to do something about it. Sorry, pal. If the United States government were to implode, and the way our politicians are going, it's going to implode. You're going to have nothing. Because there is just such close conglomeration between the big corporations now in government that it's become a quasi-oligarch. And say that 10 years ago you were a kook and a conspiracy theorist, but anymore it's like people are starting to realize it, and people are starting to wake up. The rational people are starting to realize, you know what, there's something to this. And I've been trying to tell people for the last 10 to 20 years that this, where we are now, this is where we've been heading. This is not new. We've been going in this direction for a long time now. And I would suggest to you that it started long before any of us were ever born. But this particular video from Tucker Carlson's show, it's just a very brief interview with Josh Hawley. And it just set me off. And I was like, this is the problem. This is the problem in a nutshell. Josh Hawley is a conservative. Okay? He comes from rural Missouri, rural part of Missouri. I'm in Missouri right now. I'm right outside Kansas City. I just delivered a load. And this pretty much a traditional area, but even in Kansas City's a modern city, right? Things aren't the way they used to be. And anybody, and I know a lot of people that identify this way, but if you're a traditional conservative, you're a pariah. And I'll tell you right now, you're a pariah. And the reason why you're a pariah is because you've lost the culture war. You're still trying to fight the culture war. You already lost it. And you don't even realize you lost it because you have no clue, you don't have an inkling as to what's actually happening within society now. And I see it in a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends are married. Josh, Hawley, I'm sure he's married. Got a beautiful wife, probably got kids. I don't even know. I'm not going to judge him on that. I'm only going to take issue with what he says, but not just what he says, but what he doesn't say. I feel bad for the guy because he is on a major cable news network. And Tucker Carlson, from what I understand, he's got a pretty big viewership. And Josh Hawley just laid bare his ignorance for the whole freaking world to see. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I say embarrassing, but it like goes beyond that. It's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. But I can say that because I'm not ignorant. I can say that because unlike my traditional conservatives friends, I'm not afraid to get into the trenches and get my hands dirty. Okay? I've seen what goes on TikTok, even though I don't have TikTok. You don't have to have TikTok to see what goes on. I mean, this stuff is so pervasive. You could search YouTube and find what goes on TikTok. You can see it. You can see it on Facebook. It's horrible. It's maddening. It's sickening. It's stomach turning. And it's pervasive. I think I'm just going to let the video run. It's a very short interview. I'm going to try not to stop the video. I'm going to stop. I'll stop it a couple of times. I'm going to try to refrain because, man, I get to a certain point in this video, I just have to stop it. And I'm probably going to stop it at that point, and I'm going to let you know. This is where I didn't even want to continue the video after seeing him say this. But anyway, let's hear what they have to say.
So Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri went to the Turning Point USA event in Phoenix the other day, and during a speech he offered this advice to young men. Watch.
Young men, let me make a suggestion to you. Why don't you turn off the computer and log off the porn and go ask a real woman on a date? How about that? Just a thought.
Josh Hawley's never been in the military, which kind of surprised me. Because that right there, and a lot of my military friends, sure that they'll agree, that right there is a military officer getting up in front of a formation and addressing his troops. That's how an officer would do it. In an environment where you have absolute authority. I like to think that Josh Hawley is one of those politicians that doesn't look at his position as a position of authority. You're a congressman. It is to an extent, but you're a public servant. First and foremost, why are you preaching to your constituency? How about you get your ass down into that audience and you start talking to the young men that you're addressing and see what they got to say about what you just said. I think you would be surprised by their answer.
Ask her out. Young men, why don't you be the ones who do the asking?
I tell you why. I tell you why young men are not approaching young women. Or even any man approaching any woman. If that is unwanted, if she is uninterested, that's now harassment. That's not a joke. In many circles, that constitutes harassment. And no man wants to face that. Okay? But if it's some guy that she's into, he's good looking, he's hot, it's no longer harassment. It's the greatest form of flattery. Now we're starting to get into the actual root of the problem. But he wants to go and he wants to talk about getting off the computer and stop this watching porn stuff. You naughty man, you need to stop watching that porn. Never mind, it takes women to make it. The vast majority of actors in pornos are women, not men. It's women.
Oh, so controversial. Choose a human being over pornography. As we said, Josh Hawley represents Missouri in the U.S. Senate, and he joins us tonight to explain his speech. Senator, thanks so much for coming on. So tell us why, you're a U.S. Senator. You help negotiate trade deals, but you mentioned human relationships. Why?
Well, somebody's got to be honest and tell the truth to these young men. And the truth is what the porn industry is telling them is a total lie. And the truth is...
That's the part where I can't get past. Well, somebody's got to tell these young men the truth. Who's telling the truth? You're not. I'll tell you that right now, Mr. Hawley. You're not, because you don't even know what the truth is. You don't even understand what the problem is. Understand something. Porn is a problem. Pornography and the proliferation of pornography and the internet is only contributed to the proliferation of pornography. It's made it more readily accessible. But it's a symptom of the problem. It's symptomatic of a much, much larger problem. And I'm going to get into that. But I want to try to get through this.
American society needs them. We need them to step up. We need them to go get married and have families and be responsible husbands and fathers. This society is impoverished because too many young men are too despairing or too checked out on social media or porn to be doing what we need them to do as a country. It's time to call people.
Men are checked out, all right. Men are checking out big time. And it's not because of porn. It's not directly due to porn. They're turning to pornography. They are turning to pornography. OnlyFans is a thing. OnlyFans is definitely a thing. A multi-billion-dollar thing. And I'll get into that. I'll touch on that.
To call young people in particular and young men to be something more. And Tucker, they want to be called to it. They don't want to be sold the bill of goods anymore. Somebody needs to tell them the truth.
No, I think that's exactly right. But you're one of the very few people who said anything like this, certainly one of the very few elected officials, because it's considered really embarrassing to notice this is happening. Why don't more people say it? It seems like it's transformed our society completely.
Yeah, well, I think that's because the liberal culture, what the message to young people is, the most you can aspire to in life is to be a...
Remember that. Traditional conservatives, you've lost the culture war. He's still trying to fight it. And he's not even equipped to fight it. Never mind that you already lost it. It's already lost. Culture war is lost. And you don't even realize it because traditional conservatives will not get their hands dirty. They will not get in the trenches and they will not get dirty. They don't want to see it. It was fine. Just ignore it when it was just the soft underbelly of society, but it's no longer the soft underside of society anymore. It is now society, and you're the pariah.
Consumer who sits in a cubicle in front of a computer all day and doesn't ask any questions, it doesn't do anything meaningful with your life. And what we need to say to young men and young women too is just the opposite. Aspire to be something more than a consumer. And for young men, aspire to be something more than a consumer pornography. Aspire to actually create something in your life, like create a family, for instance. That is the single greatest.
What benefit does men get from creating a family? What benefit does a man in this modern age get from marriage? I'm going to tell you right now, men get very little benefit from marriage, and they have everything to lose in marriage. He's a lawmaker. You should know that. You should absolutely know that. Now, the thing is, Judge Brown Jackson was confirmed to the Supreme Court by the Senate of the United States. I looked it up. He voted nay on her confirmation. I want to know why he voted nay on her confirmation. I got a feeling I know why. Because she disqualified herself. The moment she was asked, and I think it was Blackburn, was it Blackburn that asked her that question? What is a woman? And she refused to answer the question, saying she's not a biologist. No, but you're a judge. And the law actually absolutely makes that distinction. And if, as a judge, you cannot define what a woman is, when Webster's Dictionary is very basic. It's a female adult. But again, we politicized everything. Everything is political. Everything is ideological. Her refusal to answer that question was ideological. Even though there is empirical, it's empirical as to what a woman is. What is the difference between a man and a woman, and what constitutes a woman and what constitutes a man. Now we can get into minutiae about characteristics that are uniquely feminine and characteristics that are uniquely masculine, but when it comes to basic biology, men have penises and women have vaginas. That's it. And the law makes that distinction. The law absolutely makes that distinction, because the law, as it's written, especially in family law, favors women. So Brown Jackson, she's not even qualified to sit on the Supreme Court, because she can't define what a woman is. That's not me saying that. I mean, she said it. I'm not a biologist. You don't need to be. The law actually absolutely makes that distinction. So how can you be a jurist and not understand that? He voted against her confirmation. I would like to know his reasoning why he voted against her confirmation. And I'll bet you it's that fucking reason right there. But then this
act of rebellion, if you like, against the liberal culture that is suppressing people's desires, that is suppressing their potential, is to go out and actually engage in real relationships, get married, have a family, have kids, have your own ideas, and be a responsible member of society. I mean, this is what people are built to do. And again, it's what young people want to do. They want to be challenged in this way.
Right. No, and I'm sure clips of you saying that will be everywhere later, and all the cool kids are making fun of you, cool kids who are not yet 60 and childless. I hope you keep saying it, because I think it's clearly true. And I think it's brave in the context of today. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri went to the...
So all the cool kids are not 60 and childless. Go on Instagram, go on TikTok, and look at how many women who are in their 40s and 50s who are crying, physically crying their hearts out, because they're single, unmarried, never been married. Why? Josh Hawley thinks it's men. I want to tell you right now, as a man who's been through a divorce and who's been in the dating scene, I hate to say it, but I got, after following my divorce, I was, how old? 40. Actually, I was in late 30s when we separated. I was getting laid more in my late 30s and early 40s than I ever was in my 20s. Society has changed. Society has absolutely changed. And for a man, there's no benefit. I mean, especially if you're a man and you can actually get women's attention. You can actually attract women. There is no incentive to get married. There's none. Fact is, there's only a select few men in society anymore that are actually able to have sex. There are terms that are now commonplace in our cultural vernacular, such as simp, incel, and before I made this video, before I even sat down to do it, I called my son because I wanted a younger person's input, and I trust my son because I raised him. But we started discussing a lot of this stuff, and he was actually surprised that his dad was that culturally aware, that I understood the dynamics, what's going on between men and women. And I think a lot of people in my generation are just oblivious to it. Now, see, me, the reason why I'm so interested in it, because number one, I know the struggles that I've had with trying to understand the sexual dynamics between the genders. Women don't men are from Mars, women are from Venus. That whole shtick. Yeah, we're different, but in this modern times, it goes beyond that. It absolutely goes beyond that, and it can be traced back to the fact that this is now a femme-centric, gynocentric, whatever you want to call it, society, where the female imperatives are just right and given priority. They're paramount, whereas anything masculine is toxic, it's dangerous, it's bad, it's evil, you name it. And that in itself is toxic. So you wonder why men are disengaging? You really think it's because of porn? No, they're turning to porn in astounding numbers for a reason. And it's like I said, OnlyFans is a thing. And unlike my traditional conservative friends, I'm not afraid to get in the trenches and get dirty. Okay? I was in the military. That's what we do. Right? I actually went on OnlyFans when I heard about it, and I'm like, what? And I went on, and I actually started an account. And I was on it for 2 months. And I ended up unsubscribing, deleting my subscription, because I found out what it's about. And my God, OnlyFans is a simp heaven. It is a haven for simps. our society has conditioned men to not be men, real men, genuine men. Now, I don't know what kind of man Josh Hawley is. I'm pretty sure he strikes me as a manly man. He's very serious. I've seen him work on the finance committee and listening to him talk, and he's pretty straightforward, what I would expect a real man to be. And I guess he's just judging everyone by his standard. Well, that's fine. I mean, he comes across as being very masculine, very stoic, very logical, reasonable. What I've seen of him, I actually like the guy. Watching him working on the finance committee, I actually like the guy. But seeing this, it's like, holy shit, dude. Are you really that ignorant? Are you really that ignorant as to what is going on with the culture? He probably is. Because he was probably raised with the traditional conservative values that this country was rooted in for so many years. And you could sit there, you could say it's misogynistic and everything else. Women and men are different. We absolutely are. And the fact of the matter is, nobody can figure out why the hell all these women are going for bad boys. It's because they're men. Real men do whatever the hell they want. I'll tell you that right now. What a real man does whatever the hell he wants. And nothing is going to stop him. He may get knocked down, but he's going to pick himself back up, and he's going to continue right on, and he's going to keep plugging away. A real man does anything he wants. Well, no, that can't be right, Roger, because, a man can't just go out and murder. It has nothing to do with morality. It has absolutely nothing to do with morality. And yet it has everything to do with morality. We got young men who are 21 and under going around shooting up high schools and shopping malls and whatever else, killing people in mass numbers. We can't figure out why. It's really freaking simple. That's masculinity run amok. Because they're told that we tell young men that they can't be themselves. They can't act the way they are naturally. That's toxic. That's evil. That's wrong. At some point they rebel. And men who are never taught to control their emotions, yeah. We have 17 to 18 times the testosterone levels that women have. And and testosterone is also the driver of that what controls sex drive. And this whole notion that women can be just as sexual or more sexual than men is just biologically impossible. Because they don't have the testosterone levels. There's a book, it's called Hormonal. And it was written by, her first name is Marty. I can't remember her last name. I just finished a book not that long ago. And she is a clinical psychologist, a evolutionary psychologist, something like that. But she really wanted to do a study into how women's hormonal cycles affect their actions and behavior. And she wanted actual empirical data. She actually wanted the truth. Now, at the beginning of the book, she is very admitted that she is a liberal. She voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, blah, blah, blah. And she went through this, and what she found is that it absolutely does control women's behavior, and how, and where, depending on where they are in the cycle, depends on, and this is something we've already known. Oxytocin and all the other hormones that we deal with, and women, their cycle, and men, and I didn't even realize this. I didn't even know it until I read the book. Men have our own hormonal cycle. It's just that unlike women, which is a monthly cycle, ours is a daily cycle. Imagine that. So yeah, it's a good book. It's a really good book, and I would recommend that you read it. But in this book, she says, she has gotten so much crap from people of from her own ideology, because that she is undermining women's empowerment. And she's like, I disagree with that, because I believe that if women understood how their hormonal cycle actually affects their behavior, that is actually going to be more empowering for women. And I absolutely agree with that. Because now, instead of being governed by your emotions and being led by your hearts, you can now make reasoned choices because you understand better. Reason why is it that I see boobs and my eyes are automatic? For men, that's all it takes. Women are not driven that way. Women are totally different. And for men, it's like instant. But our hormonal cycles are daily. And and she covers this, there is a evolutionary reason for it. She's probably an evolutionary psychologist. Evolutionary psychologists are the ones that are actually coming up with all this empirical data, discovering about this. And it's fascinating to me because, like I said, not that long ago, on a Facebook post where psychology in college was like my second favorite subject, right behind history, because it is fascinating. The human psyche and human nature is fascinating to me, especially in this day and age, because it's like we are doing everything that we possibly can to defy our nature, and you can't defy that. That's natural law. That's natural law. You ask a physicist when it comes to natural law, physical laws, and human nature is different. It's not a physical law. It's a different kind of natural law, but natural law is natural law, and you can't defy it. You can only work within the confines of that law. It's just like raising my kids. When I was raising my kids, I set boundaries, and they could do whatever the hell they wanted as long as they were in those boundaries. I was one of those parents. I allowed my kids to explore their world. And yeah, they paid a price. Yeah, we made a few trips to the hospital because of it. Trenton. It wasn't just Trenton either. Kathleen had her episodes, her mishaps. But as long as they remained in the boundaries, inside those boundaries, they could do whatever they want. But those boundaries, I set those guidelines in accordance to what I expected out of them as far as their behavior. And you look at my kids now, and you look at where both of them are at, and it's like, I had to have done something right. Because unlike a lot of young people their age, they're actually productive members of society, and they're both building very good lives for themselves. And I couldn't be happier. But why? But anymore, they're the exception. They're not the rule. And you got young people today lamenting how they can't make it anymore, and just working hard anymore. That is such a defeatist mentality. And that is not typically masculine. And even though you will hear young women say that, it's predominantly men, young men, who are saying this. And I would like to ask Josh Hawley why he thinks that is. I mean, I think I got a pretty good grasp as to the reason why. And after talking to my son, he reinforced that. Because it's not just affecting the younger generations, it affects ours. And it's like I told my son when I was talking to him about this, I told him, all this really started in my generation. I was born in 1964. And I was born right on that borderline between the baby boomer and Generation X. 64, 65 range is right, that dividing line for, I think it's 1964. I was born right in that year. So I kind of straddle both generations. I'm one of those fence straddlers. But if you really get right back down to it, where everything really accelerated, because feminism has been around for a long time. The suffragist movement and all that other stuff, that was the origins of it. But where it really went wrong was 1965, when I think that's interesting. Record just pulled up with one of our trucks behind it. But 1965, that's when hormonal birth control came online. And that one event changed dramatically the dynamics between the genders. And women now have complete control of birth. Majority control. Men have some control. There is male birth control, obviously. A man can get a vasectomy. Woman's equivalent is to have a mastectomy. But prophylactics, condoms. But that's it. There is no hormonal birth control for men. Women control that. And for a man, when a woman says that she's on the pill, he's got to take her word for it, right? How many men believed a woman when she said that, ended up fathering a child with that woman? Probably quite a few. No, there is quite a few. And like the NBA made it a thing where they put it out that their NBA players, if you get with somebody while you're traveling and you're at a game and you get with some woman, you actually take the condom, you wear a condom, you use a condom, you do not lose control of that condom, you don't throw it away, you flush that thing down the toilet. And I'm reminded that there was some celebrity, I think he might have been a basketball player, he might have been some famous athlete, but he got together with a woman, and instead of flushing it down the toilet, he put a packet of hot sauce. He opened up a packet of hot sauce and squirted it in there, thinking that the hot sauce was going to kill the sperm, and he threw it in the trash can. Woman went into the bathroom, dug out the condom, and she tried to self-inseminate with the semen that was in the condom, and she got a vagina full of hot sauce. And then tried to make him the bad guy for doing that. This is a thing. But again, Josh Hawley's men, you need to step up. You need to stop watching porn and just man up. Just man up. Despite the fact that society is telling you, sit down, shut the fuck up, because you're toxic and you're evil and you are the source of all the evil in the world. And if women ran the world would be a lot better place. And I'm of the opinion, looking around at the way the world is now, in a very femme-centric, gynocentric, whatever, what have you, society, where feminine imperatives are that's why he's broke down. There's another one of our trucks over there. Apparently he's broke down. Me, I'm sitting waiting on a load. But anyway, I digress. Where was I? Lost my train of thought. But that in a very gynocentric society where feminine imperatives are paramount, and that's the right of it. And looking at the way the world is now, God help us. God help us. There is nothing toxic about masculinity. There is nothing toxic about femininity. Putting one above the other is absolutely toxic. The genders are they're different because they're supposed to complement one another, not be adversarial. And the way postmodern feminism is been so ideologized, if that's even a word, it's absolutely toxic. And it's killing us. And that's why when Josh Hawley sits there and says, you got to stop watching porn. Yeah, you should. You know what? I'm gonna go further. Especially in this modern age, because women simply can be. Women just need to be. If I had $1 for every so-called social media influencer that talked about this, and I'm talking about men who are not of the same mindset that I am concerning this, but have a very simp-like attitude, beta male, what have you. But for every time if they said, but they got the pussy, yeah, right there it is in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell. Women, you did that by trying to be like men. That's what you've done. And your agency is nothing but sexual. Again, OnlyFans is a thing. Seeking arrangements. If you don't know what seeking arrangements is, I invite you to look it up. It's geared to multimillionaires, not females. It's geared toward multimillionaire males looking for arrangements with young females so they can be their sugar daddy. And it's transactional. You're exchanging sex. Young women exchanging sex in exchange for money. It's prostitution. It's a form of prostitution. That's what it is. What about that, Mr. Hawley? OnlyFans is a thing. There are all kinds of men going on OnlyFans as accounts on Onlyfans. And they spend a lot of money. I didn't spend that much money when I was on OnlyFans, just enough to like 3 separate. One of them was famous. One of them was actually famous. I'm not going to say who it was, but it didn't matter. You could interact with these women. You could message them. You could chat with them online. They can make videos for you at your request, whatever you wanted, but you are going to pay for it. You know, and yeah, after about a couple of months, I had pretty much had my feel. I pretty much figured it out. It's a simp haven. And it, again, it's symptomatic of our society and the way intergender relations has just become so broken. There's a market for it. There's absolutely a market for it. You know, that's like what was it? The woman who was the largest grossing account, had the largest, she made the most money on OnlyFans, was actually a very homely looking woman, like the girl next door. Could that be because she was she had the appearance of being attainable? That guys could interact with her online and be just like having a girlfriend? How sick is that? And she plays to it. She plays to that. They all do. In fact, my experience was if I didn't interact with them and I didn't ask them for stuff and I wasn't throwing money their way, they were texting me saying, "What's wrong with you?" Because it's expected. That's where society's at. So Josh Hawley can sit there and he can tell men, stop it, man up, man up. Yeah, men need to man up. But you got to incentivize them to actually man up. Because right now, what I would tell a young man, leave the women alone. Don't get it. Don't do porn. Don't do OnlyFans. Get off that shit. Go and do something constructive with your life. If you're a young man in your 20s, leave the women alone. Don't even chase women. Because you do what you're supposed to do as a man. And you go out and you build something. You develop a goal. Like my son. My son's in the perfect spot where he needs to be for a young man. He's in the Army. He's in college. He's about ready to get his bachelor's degree with the plans to go for a master's in information technology. Back that up with the national security background like he has. Because right now he's in military intelligence after being airborne infantry. Holds one of the highest clearances that the United States government issues. By the time he gets into his mid-30s, he's going to be making 6 figures. He's well built. He's in excellent shape. He has to be, because he's still airborne, working for he's assigned to Special Operations Command. My son's got it going on. That's where young men should be. And that's what they need to be concentrating on. But not just that, learn to invest. Learn how to make residual income, secondary income, and improve your lot in life. Because when you get to be my age, you don't want to be working anymore like I am. Like I said, I wish I knew 20, 30 years ago everything that I know now. My life would be a vastly different than what it is now. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. And I could sit there and I can cry in my Wheaties all freaking day, and it's not going to do me any bit of good. The only thing I can do is do my absolute best to play catch up. And you know what? In this modern society, there is absolutely no woman that is going to bring anything to the table that is going to help me get there. If anything, she is going to distract me from doing that. I have absolutely no incentive, even a man at my age, I have no incentive to get involved with a woman, especially at my age. Especially at my age. I already had my kids. I already raised my kids. And women my age have already raised their kids. What's left? Retirement? No. I'm pretty old, but I got a lot of good years left in me, and there's a lot of things that I want to do. And I'm going to go do them. Could there be room for a woman in that? Yeah. But not as the way things are now. I have everything to lose. Very little to gain. And unfortunately, that's the truth of it. And for a young man who has his whole life ahead of him, he needs to concentrate on himself. And in fact, if I remember right, I was given that advice when I was a young man. I didn't take it. It is what it is. That's it. That's all I got. I've droned on long enough. Y'all have a good one, and I'm gonna kill this thing. Go relax. Go chill. Why wait for a load? Things. Supply chain, folks. It's not looking good right now. Thanks, Democrats. Thanks, Biden. See y'all later. I'm out.